We came here from Mexico in 1977 and settled in Coaldale, Alberta. My parents just moved to Belize. My girlfriend's parents were going to move to Canada. And so that meant that we were going to be separated. Now, there was one way that she could stay in Mexico, and that is that if we got married, which we did. And like I say, it was a very short time to plan all of that, and but we did get married 3 days before we moved to Canada. One of the things that I found very interesting is that we lived in a city in Mexico. In Mexico, the houses your house is right to the sidewalk, and it's all stone or concrete or adobes, that kind of buildings. When we got to Canada, the one thing that I found just totally interesting and couldn't believe it is when we got to my wife's sister's place in Coaldale, Alberta, they had a wooden house. And they had a bigger lot than the house. And so they had a big lot in this little house, or it seemed like a little wooden house. And my first impression was, they obviously can't afford a real house because it's just made out of wood. And then at night, the stars, we lived 9,000 feet above sea level. So you look up at the stars at night in Alberta, and most of them are missing, or so it seems. So that was a bit different. When I started looking for a job more in my field, welding and industry, because I have a hand missing, that was a difficult thing. Nobody really wanted to hire me at the time. Eventually, I offered this one company that I would work for free for 2 weeks, and if after that they thought I couldn't do the job, then they didn't owe me anything, and I would leave, which is where I worked for the next 4 years or so. The one thing that it's definitely easier here is, making a living is much easier. The other thing that is definitely a positive in Canada is, first of all, it's a peaceful land. We never have to go to bed and be afraid that there'll be bullets flying through our house. We live in a very prosperous and peaceful land, and so when you look at the world, I just don't think you can find any better than Canada.